presentation is Penny Sanseveri. She's the CEO of Author Marketing Experts, Inc., and she and her company work with authors to foster their growth. How many of you heard of the phrase inbound marketing? Okay, we're going to learn a lot here. It's more than just using Twitter and Facebook and other social media. It's about how to make those links count and how to build your reader base and get more visibility in Google. So Penny's going to explain a little bit about what to do with all this stuff that we're doing to make it work better for you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to present this evening. I really appreciate being a part of this excellent panel and somebody who was on Oprah. All right, so we talk about Twitter and Facebook, or Facebook, as your friend says. And when you first told me that, I said, what? Oh, I felt so clueless. So the first piece of this is, by show of hands, how many of you have a website? Good. You should never start marketing yourself online unless you have a website, and I'm going to explain to you why. Why are you doing this, right? Some people say, well, everybody's on Twitter. Oprah's on Twitter, right? You know, that's not really a good reason. You have to figure out what your strategy is, because otherwise you're going to spend a lot of time doing a whole lot of nothing. So the strategy really is to understand the concept of inbound marketing. Google ranks websites two ways, by relevance and authority. Okay? Relevance is how relevant is your site to the search term that was plugged into Google. Okay? And I tend to default to Google because Google pretty much runs the world. I think by this time next year we'll be having the bank of Google, and 78% of us default to Google as our search engine, right? So anything that, you know, whenever Google changes how you rank websites, it pretty much changes everything online, believe it or not. So Google looks at relevance and authority. Now the second word, authority, is the word that you're concerned with, because authority is the importance of your website as seen through the eyes of Google. And your website's importance is determined by the sites that are linked to you. When you have sites like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Squidoo, which I know we haven't really talked about tonight, or YouTube, linking into you, these are all high authority sites. When you have linking coming in from the New York Times, from the Huffington Post, these are all high authority sites, and every time that you get a link, it helps your site show up better in search engines. Because most of you who have websites probably go, well, if I search my name, I come up. But if somebody is just sort of showing up looking for whatever you've written about or whatever service that you're offering, how many of them are actually going to plug in your name, right? You probably don't want to rank by your name unless you're the brand, right? Unless you're Cher. Then you probably want to rank by your name. So the first thing is to figure out, what does your reader want? Not what you think they want, but what they actually want. Because a lot of times the first thing we offer them is what we think they want. Oh, we think they want this. But what happens is the numbers never lie. So when I actually do one-on-one Twitter training with authors or business owners, I say, when you know that you hit the right message in your social media, your numbers will start to grow. The numbers never lie. People will start to follow you when the message becomes relevant to them. So understand what your followers want, whether it's Facebook or whatever it is that you're interested in, right? And then I recommend 3 social media properties: Squidoo, Facebook, and Twitter. There's another one coming on the horizon that I think will actually end up buying Facebook probably by the end of this year, but the jury's still out on that, and so we'll see. Squidoo, for those of you who don't know, was developed by Seth Godin, who is probably one of the most brilliant marketing people on the planet. And he started Squidoo, and Squidoo actually has a fantastic conversion rate, which means that a lot of people who are on, oh, I'm sorry, spell it, thank you, SQUIDOO.com. Folks who are on Squidoo are pretty serious buyers. I actually call Squidoo the Facebook for authors, because it flies under the radar screen. People who know it are very serious about doing social networking. The next phase of this is where are you sending people to? So you've established what they want. Now you're out on all of these sites, and you're sending them back to your website. what is your website doing with the traffic that you're sending them? You know, people spend on average of 1/50th of a second on a website before they decide to click off. So you have got to tell them again, and then tell them a third, fourth, and fifth time what you want them to do. Because you're building your platform, yes, but you also want to build maybe subscribers to your blog, or you want to build your newsletter list, or something like that. You want to sell a book, right? You know the number one thing that authors forget to put on their homepage is their book. If you don't put your book on your homepage with a strong call to action, meaning a buy now button, your inbound marketing you're sending people to, it's sort of like sending people to a store and then locking the doors and not letting them in. So when you put forth all of this effort, when you figure out what your users want, when you figure out how to, what information to put out there, what to Twitter on, what to use Facebook for, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I sort of manage that a little bit, because people say to me all the time, do you ever sleep? Which actually I don't, but there's a way to kind of manage it, because I'm a big fan of recycling information. And we have a newsletter that goes out, which I actually have to sign up for. We have a newsletter that goes out every 2 weeks. I have a blog, I Twitter, I blog on Huffington Post. We do articles for syndication. Listen, guys, I got to tell you seriously, even though I'm in marketing, I'm not that creative, right? Where I can keep coming up with fresh content every single day and think, I don't wake up thinking this stuff. But I believe in recycling information, because I'm a firm believer that people are not going to come to you in the same way. They're not going to show up on Facebook and say, well, you just posted out on Twitter, you're boring, right? They're not going to really, people are going to show up to you in different portals. So I recommend looking at the information that you can recycle. You can recycle information from your blog. Now, I'm pretty careful about Huffington Post, just because I try not to recycle that article, so that's kind of sort of, a place unto itself. But if I write something that we use in our newsletter, I'll break it down into little micro pieces and Twitter on it, right? And I'll use it for Facebook, and I'll use it on our blog. And, what you have to do is you have to put a lot of lines in the water to keep the conversation going. And then again, keep people coming back to your website. Now, let me ask you something. How many of you, and those of you who have a website, have some kind of a sign up on your website for something? Great. What are you giving them to get their email addresses? What are you giving folks? It's called your ethical bribe. And listen, if somebody walks up to you and says, can I have your email address? You're kind of like, well, why? And what are you going to send me? I had somebody the other day, she goes, well, are you going to send me 400 emails? Not in an hour, but give me a week and I might. Right? What kind of question is that? And so she said, well, I get so many emails, I just don't want to hear from you. But if you give somebody something, like for something that they want, right? So for example, we're redoing the Author Marketing Experts website, which has been fun and painful. I'm creating this tip book called 52 Ways to Sell More Books. Now, people who land on our site are authors. What do authors want to do? They want to sell more books. But if I offered something like, I had a client one time, she says, well, I'm offering a free ebook of Moby Dick. I said, okay. How's that working for you? She said, well, not very well. But it was free, and I just thought people would like to read it, because I enjoyed reading it. And she wrote like a diet book or something. And I'm like, well, what does that have to do with anything to do with your, well, it was free. There's a lot of free content. Look at it, there's so much free content out there. It has to be relevant to your audience. So remember, it's all, once you figure out what your audience wants, you become a funnel. How am I doing on time?
You got about a minute.
Oh,
I was just thinking.
woohoo! Like, wow.
We'll hit you up on Q&A like everybody else does.
Right. Once you figure out what your audience wants, you become the funnel for that information. And it's okay if you're sharing other people's, because listen, you can't know everything about your topic. You can't be expected to know everything about your topic. But then you start to, you get to know other people in your industry, as they were talking about on the panel earlier, right? Associations and whatnot. And you share information. But if you when you look at things like sites that are sort of a collection of information on a particular topic, people like to be able to go to one place to get all of that information. Now I'm going to leave you with one final tip, and it's social networking on blogs. Once you figure out your area of expertise, now the only thing that you do tonight is you go home and you do this, you will be light years ahead of most authors, because most folks don't know to do this. Go onto sites like Technorati or Google Blog Search and find the top 5 to 10 blogs in your market, okay? Then start to communicate with them in their comment section on the blog. This does 2 things. This allows you, this is an intro. It's like going to a big networking party and handing someone your business card. Hey, how's it going? Right? It's an intro into this blogger. I've had authors that have gotten onto huge blogs, New York Times, iVillage, doing this method. The second thing that it does is it creates an inbound link, which comes back to the whole authority piece, which helps your site show up in exposure, which gets you more traffic, which builds more platform, and the world is a happy place, right? But what this also does is if you don't have a book out yet, or if you have another book coming out, you can now start to network with bloggers who might review you or interview you or something, so you're not having to cold call, right, when your book comes out, going, hey, hi, I have a book out, I know you don't know me, but, because they're getting hit up all the time. So start with 5 to 10 blogs in your market. You can expand it out once you kind of get a handle on that. You don't have to comment on every blog post every single day. But every blogger loves comments. Those of you who blog, you know what I mean, right? I remember the first time I got a comment on our blog, I thought, oh, thank God somebody's reading this, right? Because you just think it's going into this black hole and nobody cares. I'm just blogging and nobody cares. And then somebody comments, you're like, oh, right? And it's not your mother. And you're like, oh, thank God, somebody that I don't know is actually reading this. So now I do have a newsletter if you want to sign up. I have an inbound marketing handout. It's actually a PowerPoint presentation. That's an expanded version of what I talked about today. If you're interested in getting it, you can sign up for this. If you don't want to get the newsletter, which goes out every 2 weeks, just put a little star by your name and I won't include that. So
It's a great newsletter, I get it.
oh, thank you. She's not a plant, I swear. Yeah, thank you.
The rest of you have been taking notes on